Hey guys, I wanted to share something with you guys really quick. I've always had a dream of building a company that would one day change the culture of the nail industry, but not just for the client, but for nail techs. And, it's said that if your dream isn't big enough, then you won't fight for it. And so, honestly, there's some truth to this. And in my opinion, I think that nothing worth doing requires, or I should say, actually, everything worth doing um, requires some level of sacrifice, and you have to sacrifice in order to achieve any dream, I think. And so I'm going to tell you guys a story. So last fall, I announced to my team that I was going to be launching my nonprofit called Passion Story. And when I made this announcement to the team, if you don't already know anything about Passion Story, it's a project that essentially helps women escape unwanted lifestyles. And we're doing it by using the beauty industry as their outlet. Whether they're trafficked women or battered women or women that are stuck in very difficult situations and they can't see their way out of it, that organization will essentially benefit women like that. And so with this in mind, I began asking myself last year, if any of these women were to come to my salon as it was and ask, hey, can I come work for you, right? Would they succeed in an environment like that? And sadly, as much as I did not want to admit it at the time, the answer was a resounding no. Now, the reason wasn't no, it wasn't no because of anything wrong that we were doing, like that's not why, but it was because of simple fact that my original salon, it was massive. Like at one point we had 19 nail techs working in there. You can have up to 50 people can be inside that room at any given time. If you can picture, the phone's ringing, clients are coming in, there's clients waiting, clients are checking in, clients are checking out. There's a lot of activity that's happening. And not to mention that we're essentially considered a training salon. So in the middle of all of this, stimulation, folks who have had a history of trauma, like they can't thrive in an environment like that. And not also, an environment like that creates a really big challenge for our management. And so, so I started kind of like internalizing this and really asking myself, where am I going with my company and how can I create an environment that can benefit and help everybody, right? And so with that, I made two decisions. The first decision I made was essentially to split my team in half, where I have two smaller locations. Not only would it create a more family-oriented, smaller environment, but in terms of managing a space like that, it would be more intimate and easier for the nail techs, for the person, managing everybody, clients, everybody. The second decision I made was that the original location that I have, that location would become a nail technology school. Now, after coming to this realization, I am the type of person, if any of you guys already know me, like once I make a decision, I start moving really quick. So, sure, there were issues to get resolved and stuff like that. Like I had everything done, right? Like the budget was there, the people were in place, it was great. But then, what no one thought could happen, happened. One issue after another, things began to unravel. The plans that I created, we had, this was like such an important move for my company. And the two locations, they were set to be completed by January 1st of this year. It gave me plenty of time in that timeline to launch the school by April. Everybody, you know, would have been moved out and all of this. Well, that never happened. And, you know, basically, well, not that it never happened. There was a massive delay, right? So everything inside the new locations basically started to collapse, like from plumbing issues to massive backups. I don't know if some of you saw those videos. There were electrical issues. The air conditioning wasn't working right. And it got to the point where I'm like, okay, the team, once the spaces were good enough for us to do something in them, because mind you, I was paying rent for these spaces and they were unusable, right? And so it just got to the point where, you know, I just moved the team in. I'm like, okay, we need to get out of the current space because I need to get started on the school. So it might have seemed a little bit rushed for some of you guys, and I apologize for that. But these buildings, like everything was a nightmare. And so I just moved everybody into the locations on May 1st. And since being in the new locations, we've been slowly getting these locations up to where we wanted it to be before we made the move. And so, and I say it like that because paying for unusable spaces is a nightmare. If you're a business owner, you know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't end there. So as soon as we moved everybody out, I contacted State Board, right, to start the process for the nail technology school. And I was so excited about that. And I get on the phone with them. I even went out to Santa Fe. And when I went out there, met them, and then I called them, got on the phone to start this process for the nail technology school. And I'm on the phone and they flat out told me, well, you can't open a nail technology school. And I lost it. I'm like, what do you mean I can't open a nail technology school? I'm a professional nail tech. I'm a business owner. There's been nail technology schools that have opened in the past. Now, since obviously those schools have converted to full Cosmo schools, but that was the only option they gave me. They wanted me to open up a full cosmetology school. Now, I started asking myself, like, why would I do that? We have great cosmetology schools in town. The lack that we have in this industry is in nail technology training. And I know that because I've been hiring people who graduated from beauty schools for the last 8 years. And many times it takes me 6 months to a year to get them up to where they should be when they graduate. Now, that's a whole nother video. I can get into details with that as to why this is happening. And a lot of it is not necessarily to the fault of the school. It's just how the industry has been. And so, you know, when I was told no, I'm thinking like, are you kidding me? So now I have this other space that I have to pay for that's unusable, right? So, you know, once again, that put me in a place where now I have to pivot again, right? I have to try to figure out like what the hell I was going to do. Now I'm paying for this empty building again. And fast forward months later, when I'm trying to figure all of this out, State Board calls me and they tell me, hey, we found a loophole. You can go ahead and do the nail technology school. And then finally the steps for that started happening. And that was a few months ago. Now in the middle of all of this, I hired people. I'm like, you know, doing this training. So needless to say, like I'm taking you through the journey of like the suffering to get to a dream, right? And when a business owner goes through something like this, I'm just going to be vulnerable here. It's extremely overwhelming, and you literally, like, you cannot see straight, right? You're being forced to rely on your team in ways that you never thought that you had to rely on anybody. And having that said, you know, I mean, I don't even necessarily want to get into that during the course of a 6-month period, because of all of this happening, you know, we had several people on our team leave. And, you know, and at the end of the day, like trials like this, like it tests everybody. Some people are in it, and some people are in it for the long haul, and some people are not, and that's totally fine, right? The way I see it is the reward will be incredible for those that see the vision. And so now, even to this day, like I'm still in the thick of this. Like there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And, you know, and with the new locations and the school, like the school has not opened yet, but I am determined to make this work. It has to work. It has to work because there are too many lives at stake. And, you know, this by far, I have to say, has been the hardest thing that I've ever walked through. But like I said in the beginning of this video, anything worth doing requires some level of suffering to achieve. And you got to be in it. So I wanted to share that story with you guys because it's one that a lot of people don't know is happening. And so, yeah, I just thought it would be nice to be vulnerable with you all so that you know what's happening. And if you're a client of my salon, you've seen some of this stuff, like, you know, if the AC and all this crazy stuff that's happening, like it literally has been a nightmare, but I do see the light at the end of the tunnel because, like I've said in videos prior to this, all of this is going to work together to, you know, for us to essentially give back to a very vulnerable population right now. And that's a population of young people who can and should be using an amazing, amazing industry to get themselves out of difficult situations. And I do believe that we have that in my life and in my position with nails. I believe that, you know, they have that with hair, you have that with skin. It doesn't matter. Beauty is beauty. But for me, I'm a nail tech, and I think it's a quick course that you can take. You can start earning an income quickly, and that in turn can save a lot of people's lives. And I think because of my way of being very private and not talking about, you know, the challenges and the things that we go through, I think sometimes people have this perception of how someone is or what their intentions are or what they're trying to do with their company. And so this is my way of just being transparent with you all and telling you this story. And I'm choosing to keep my eyes forward and really just keeping focused on why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I'm here, and why I'm talking. Thanks for listening.